Walk into any research lab today, and you'll find over 90% of journal literature in major scientific fields is published in English. On the surface, this is a logistical miracle. A shared linguistic code allows a Tokyo biochemist to collaborate seamlessly with a Brazilian epidemiologist, creating a single, frictionless network of human knowledge. This chart shows the language breakdown of the Science Citation Index, which tracks the world's most influential research. English accounts for over 95% of these publications. Every other human language on Earth is squeezed into that remaining 5% sliver. On this global stage, fluency in English has become the mandatory entry fee. It's a requirement that stands entirely separate from the actual quality of the research being conducted. Efficiency has a cost that isn't always visible on a data map. When we rely on a single language to connect the world, we risk displacing everything else in its path. Linguist John Swales proposes a different way of looking at this global standard. He compares the spread of academic English to a Tyrannosaurus rex. In this model, English acts as a powerful carnivore. By establishing itself as the only way to communicate, it actively consumes and displaces local academic languages that have thrived for centuries. English isn't merely a medium for global science, it is an apex predator devouring the grazing grounds of alternative thought. This dominance was built through the specific expansion of US and British colonial power, followed by a global market that turned English teaching into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Modern English is the direct heir to that historical weight. Researchers who aren't native speakers face a grueling set of physical hurdles. They report significantly longer writing times, and many are forced to pay out of pocket to hire native speakers to polish their prose to an acceptable standard. International journal editors act as the ultimate gatekeepers. They frequently reject scientifically valid research simply because the author uses a non-standard variety of English that the editors find uncomfortable. The publishing pipeline functions as a rigid filter, turning the global exchange of ideas into a high-stakes obstacle course designed for Western voices. This filter is driven by contrastive rhetoric, the principle that language requires a specific logical structure. Anglo-American journals require arguments to follow a strict, explicit, and linear flow. In contrast, Finnish academic rhetoric relies on a poetic, implicit structure, circling around the core idea. When we standardize the language of science, we also standardize the rules for how to think. This list shows the rigid expectations that non-Western researchers must follow to be taken seriously. Forcing every discovery into one specific cognitive blueprint fundamentally alters the nature of the ideas themselves. When researchers must publish in English to survive professionally, their local academic languages begin to die from disuse. We are losing unique intellectual tools. German scholarship perfected the persuasive rhetorical device of the footnote, while Swedish provided a precise vocabulary for articulating social democracy. As these languages retreat from the academy, those specialized ways of thinking disappear. Linguist Anna Maranen argues that diverse rhetorical practices are like a cultural rainforest. This biodiversity is the source of innovation. It provides the varied thought patterns we need to solve complex problems. By mandating a single crop of Anglo-American rhetoric across the globe, we are intellectually clear-cutting that rainforest. Humanity cannot abandon a global language entirely. Solving global crises requires scientists who can speak to one another across borders, but we can adopt a resistance perspective. This means reconstituting global English to be inclusive, actively accepting diverse rhetorical styles and cultural logic within the language itself. This requires a shift from our institutions. Peer reviewers and editors must stop using Anglo-American grammar as the only valid measure of scientific research. To solve the world's most complex problems, global English must become a resilient intellectual ecosystem, a space designed to protect the full diversity of human thought.